Hey everyone, welcome back. I'm Michael, and we're going to be getting right back into some more Reddit stories. If you enjoy the video, make sure to leave a like and subscribe. Now, without further ado, let's begin. This story was posted by a throwaway account in the relationship advice subreddit. The post is titled, "I want to try and get with the one who got away. Is there any chance of that happening? I've been tearing myself apart just thinking about her and how things ended. I can't stop, no matter how much I try. This is going to be a long post, and I know I'm writing a lot of rambling and nonsense. When I was 20, I met the most beautiful woman, Lila, who was 19 at the time. She was beautiful both inside and out. She had the most gorgeous dark brown hair that looked red and purple when the light hit it just right, golden brown eyes, and lashes that looked like a doll's. Freckles on her rosy, plump cheeks, and a single dimple when she smiled a certain way. She was a year younger than me, but she was always so much smarter and more mature in every aspect. We dated for 2 years. I met her parents, and her no-nonsense police officer father definitely gave me the stank eye at first, but he grew to like me. Her mom adored me right off the bat, always commenting on how my green eyes complemented her daughter's golden brown eyes in the most romantic way. I still don't fully understand what that means, but I liked the compliment. Her younger siblings loved playing in the backyard with me. She met my parents and my 2 brothers, and they all loved her right away. My younger brother was the same age as her, and they were going to college together and would help each other study in some of the shared classes their majors had. Even my 6-month-old dog, whom I had adopted before even meeting her, seemed to like her more than he liked me. She told me her dreams, how she wanted to own a home that was tucked away from everything but not completely isolated. She wanted to be a doctor and help people. She wanted to be a pediatrician. She loved kids. She always said she wanted a family. She didn't care how many kids she had. She just wanted to experience the ups and downs of motherhood. She wanted the good, the bad, the ugly. I listened to her go on and on about baby names and how she would design a nursery. At the time, I thought I wanted kids too. I wanted to marry this girl and give her the family she so clearly wanted. She was my Lila. I wanted to stay with her forever. I was young, but I was in love with her. After 2 years of dating, I started to realize that I didn't want to have kids. I thought I was just being influenced by too many of my bratty cousins, and that was turning me off from the idea. But the more I thought about it, the more the idea of having to be a father made me sick. I would get headaches and my stomach would twist in knots, thinking about having to take care of some screaming, crying, and dirty little thing, and then have it grow into a tantrum-throwing toddler, a bratty child, and then some moody teenager. I didn't want to be held down like that. I wanted to travel, have money, be free. After a few drinks one night, I ended up telling all of this to Lila. I remember she went quiet and simply said, "I won't try and change your mind, but I'm not giving up my dreams." I remember scoffing and rolling my eyes and telling her that we weren't going to have kids. She stood up from the couch and said, "You might not want that anymore, but I still do. I'm not going to try and force either one of our minds to change, because then one of us will end up miserable." I realized she was breaking up with me, and even though she was so calm and mature about it, I remember feeling so angry. She was walking around the apartment, gathering her things and being completely silent. I kept arguing with her, trying to change her mind. I kept telling her that it was stupid to want kids, that they were annoying and a waste of time. When she still didn't budge, I started to insult her. I said she was stupid, that she was a weak woman for wanting to be a mom, that she should just give up on being a doctor so she could push out her brats. Lila finally started to respond to me, telling me to calm down, that we simply wanted different things in life and that was okay. I hated her in that moment that she wasn't agreeing with me. I remember punching the wall of our apartment, kicking a door, throwing anything I could get my hands on. She watched me wreck our living room and kitchen, not saying a word. She walked past me and left. This whole thing happened over a few hours. In less than a day, I lost the love of my life, and my apartment was now trashed. Of course, news of why we broke up and my reaction to it reached my family. My mom cried hearing how I reacted. My dad gave me the coldest look I'd ever seen. My brothers both said I was an idiot, with my younger brother saying I was lucky Lila hadn't called the police on me during that. That was 15 years ago. I've tried to have relationships since, but they never lasted more than a few weeks. I travel around for work, but now I'm back in the same town Lila lives in. Lila got married, got her doctorate, had kids, and is still a pediatrician last I heard. I know my younger brother still kept some contact with her in the first few years after the breakup. He even invited her to his wedding, but she declined because she didn't want to cause drama. I'm back in her town, the town we both grew up in, dated in, lived in, and where she currently lives. I can't stop thinking about her. I miss her so much right now. I miss her sweet perfume that smelled like a bakery, her strawberry shampoo, the way her hair looks in the light. She's 36 now, and I want to reach out to her and make amends. I want to hold and hug her one last time, to tell her I love her and I'm sorry. I don't know if that's a good idea, but a part of me needs closure. I don't know what to do. I want to sweep her off her feet and have her be my love again, but I don't know if that ship has already sailed. Update. I recently reached out to an ex-girlfriend of mine to see about meeting up and catching up on life. I did not expect her to respond to me as we ended on bad terms. She responded and we ended up messaging for a while and catching up. I finally asked her if she would be willing to see me in person, and she said she would be willing to meet up with me. I'm over the moon, but I'm also nervous about going on a date with her. She is 36 and I am 37, and the last time we went on dates with one another was close to 15 years ago. Our date is tomorrow evening after she gets off work. I'm scared I will mess things up again. I already feel like she is being too generous with me by even agreeing to speak to me again, let alone see me in person, but I will take any chance I can to try and make things right with her. I can't shake this horrible feeling in the back of my throat that I will mess something up, that I will just end up more heartbroken than before, that I will come on too strong and she will not want to see me ever again. I've bought her favorite flowers, and I have already made sure to start wearing her favorite cologne of mine from all those years ago. I've been practicing what I need and what I want to say to her. I have no idea how this date is going to go, but I just needed to type out these feelings of nervousness I have. Update 2. Following my last post, I reached out to Lila. I had to. I know a lot of people wanted me to never contact her again, despite how much I wanted to make amends with her, so I reached out to her and she responded and we chatted back and forth a bit. After a while, I asked her if she wanted to meet up and basically let her set all the ground rules. She agreed, and 3 days ago, we went out on a date. She is just as beautiful as she was when we were together. Her figure has filled out, and she finally lost the baby fat on her face. But she is still the same woman I fell in love with all those years ago. We sat down and talked. I did not want to talk much about myself, but she asked about my life, so I had to. She asked about my job, my family, and how I had been. Typical catching up stuff. I'll admit I was zoned out for most of this, and I was operating on autopilot to keep my nerves from taking over. I just wanted to grab her and hold her, kiss her, make her mine again. I do not think I realized just how much I missed her until she was right in front of me. Finally, when she was done asking about me, I got to ask about her and how she has been. She got married 11 years ago, so 4 years after our breakup. She has 2 daughters, an 8-year-old and a 6-year-old. I saw how happy she was when she talked about them, and I could not help but feel jealous and guilty. I should have been the one to have children with her, but I was stupid, and now she has kids with someone who is not me. I asked about her husband, and it turns out she is a widow. He died 7 years ago while she was pregnant with her youngest. It was unexpected, according to her, but she has done her best to move on and hold herself together and appear unaffected by it all for her daughters. I asked her if she was seeing anyone, and she said no. I asked her if she ever thought about me after our breakup, and she got vague with her answers. I told her she could tell me bluntly what she was thinking. Lila said that she was very depressed after our breakup. She had built a future for us in her head, and she felt like I broke it on a whim with no warning. She said she lost her first real relationship and all the dreams she had with me when we broke up. She admitted that she had been so attached and in love with me that for a while she almost tried to convince herself that she did not want kids. But no matter what she did, she could not stop herself from wanting to be a mom, and she knew that if she gave that up voluntarily, she would be miserable for the rest of her life. I asked her if I scared her that night, if she felt threatened by me at all. She said the yelling overwhelmed her, and while the commotion frightened her, she would not say she feared for her safety or life, so that gave me hope. I apologized to her about how we broke up and told her I had regretted everything I did and said that night. She said she had moved on and forgiven me years ago. She always was a very forgiving and kind person, part of the reason I fell in love with her in the first place. I asked her if she was willing to give me another chance and let me back into her life. She was hesitant and got quiet for a moment. I could feel myself panicking when that happened. She said that she did not mind me being in her life, but that I would have to regain her trust in order for her to consider even trying to date me. I was disappointed, frustrated, and very disheartened, but I knew if I came on too strong, she would turn me away completely. I told her I would be happy to be in her life in any way that I can, and that with her permission, I would be working to prove I deserved a second chance at romance. I'm happy to have Lila somewhat back in my life, and I'm going to work on proving to her that we should get back together. I hope that we can have the family and life she always talked to me about. I know there's still time, but the clock is ticking on it. I'm hoping that one day I'll be posting for advice on the family we'll have together if all things go well. Hibernating Vixen said, "This reads like a total delusion, as if the fantasy of what he wanted to happen is occurring only in his mind and not at all in reality. And if it is not a delusion, I pray she somehow realizes the threat he poses to her and her children." To this, Abood28 said, "Yeah, agreed. It is like that scene from The Joker where he deludes himself into being in a relationship with Zazie Beetz' character." This next post was made in the relationship subreddit by a user named Cold Coffee. The post is titled, "Should I let my ex-wife move in with me after our divorce? This is a throwaway account. Too much personal stuff is on my main." All names are fake, of course. I am a 45-year-old man divorced with one daughter, Lily, who is 18. My ex-wife, Thelma, also 45, and I split 2 years ago after 20 years of marriage. I will admit that I was not, am not, nor will I ever be perfect. I do like to think I was a good husband and am a good father. While married, I did my best, trying to keep up with the majority of the housework while working 40 to 50 hours per week. I tried to be attentive and caring, never forgetting anniversaries, birthdays, and so on. I did let my body go a bit as the years went by, and I admit that I am not the most exciting guy in the world. Still, I listened to my wife and did what I thought she wanted or needed to keep our marriage happy. Thelma seemed happy with me and bragged to her friends, saying I was a good husband. I suppose that was a lie, as Thelma decided she wanted to get involved with some 30-year-old guy she met at her job. When I caught Thelma, I did not try a pick-me dance, suggest therapy, or any of that. I opted to divorce, pressing for a cordial termination of our marriage. For the sake of our daughter, I remained civil and calm. Thelma was angry that I did not fight to save the marriage, but agreed to a peaceful split. The divorce was quick, and Thelma left with 75% of our savings and her car. I kept our house, my old truck, 25% of our savings, and assumed all debt. Custody was 50-50. Our daughter decided to stay with me, with her mother getting visitation. Thelma moved into an apartment with her affair partner, Larry. That was about 2 years ago. Since then, I have lost the extra weight I put on and have dated some. Nothing serious, as I have no desire to ever marry again. Once bitten, twice shy, and all that. That brings us to this week. Last night, I got a call from Lily that Thelma was in the emergency room a couple of days ago. From what I have been told, after our divorce, Larry began to show his true nature, starting with verbal and emotional abuse. Several weeks ago, it turned physical. On Tuesday, Larry went further than slaps, seriously hurting Thelma. Without going into details of her injuries, it was enough for the emergency room to keep Thelma overnight, and for charges to be pressed against Larry, even if Thelma did not ask. Thelma has nowhere to go, and her funds are all but gone due to her spending since our divorce. The apartment she was in Larry's name, so she cannot go back there. She is currently staying in a cheap hotel room, but will have to leave in the next couple of days due to lack of money. Her father passed 6 years ago, and her mother is in an assisted living home. Her sister lives 600 miles away, and Thelma cannot move due to her job. She has no close friends who can take her in. Our daughter lives in a dorm, so Lily cannot let Thelma stay there. Unless she can find someone willing to take her in soon, Thelma will be homeless or in a shelter. Lily called me to ask if I would be willing to let Thelma stay with me until she is able to find an apartment or somewhere to go. I am literally the last hope Thelma has. Now to my problem, should I open my home to let Thelma back in? I am not so cold-hearted as to enjoy Thelma's situation. I am closer to apathy, to be honest. Part of me wants to simply shrug and say, not my monkey, not my circus. Still, I know how badly Lily would hurt to see her mother suffering and on the street. I have talked to friends and family with answers ranging from "you have room, so move her in," to "pay for her first month and deposit on an apartment," to "screw her and her ugly tattoo." There was one friend of mine who said, "move her in and make her pay with her body," but he is the dumb friend we all ignore. I'm going to go ahead and try to head off what I am guessing will be questions people may ask. Thelma may have cheated, but she is a good mother. Thelma is not a narcissist or evil person. She is a human who did something selfish and stupid. I have forgiven her, but have not forgotten. There is zero chance that I end up back with Thelma. That ship sailed, ran into an iceberg, burst into flames, and was then attacked by a mechanical megalodon before it sank. Thelma has wanted to escape Larry for a long time, but did not have a chance until he was arrested. He is currently sitting in lockup, unable to post bail. She is getting some sort of protective order. I have no idea if they still work together. 4-hour edit. Thanks to all for your replies so far. I will be meeting with Thelma as soon as her shift ends. We are going to Waffle House, and this will be the first real conversation I have had with her in over a year. I am also working on an option that will keep her from being homeless, but keep her out of my house. One other point, some comments have assumed negative characteristics of Thelma that are not true. I do not hate this woman. I do not care for her as I once did, but I do not hate her. She is an excellent mother, and aside from her affair, she was a good wife. Still, infidelity is not something I can have in my relationship, so I divorced her. My daughter understands and supports my decision to never rekindle my romance with Thelma. My sole goal is my daughter's well-being, and for that, nothing is off the table. Update. Years ago, my father bought a house for his younger brother, who has dealt with mental and physical issues his entire life. My father, in his later years, added my name to the deed to help ensure someone could keep a roof over my uncle's head. Now that my uncle is getting older and has retired, he wants to move in with his sister and live in a basement apartment at her house, which will be perfect for him. The initial plan was for us to sell the house and give half the sale price to my uncle. Plans change. It cost me quite a bit, but I bought out my uncle's half of the property, removing him from the deed. I added Lily, my daughter, as an owner to the property, which now has my name and hers. Thelma signed a rental agreement and has moved in there, paying a small amount of rent. This takes care of Thelma's living situation, keeps her out of my house, and sets up Lily for the future with a place of her own, should she ever need one. Lily is extremely happy with this setup, knowing her mom is safe and has a place to live. The rent is low, far below market value, but it covers insurance and other upkeep. Thelma is using her employer's assistance program for some therapy visits to deal with mental health issues after living with Larry. I am completely sure she is over him and he will not be welcome in her life. Over the past 2 weeks, I have seen Thelma become a changed woman. I do not quite know how to word it, but she seems more thankful for what she has and less impulsive. More than anything, she seems focused on trying to fix her life. That leaves me. My kid is happy and I've set her up for a good life. Yes, it cost money, but it was just money. If it means I have to work a few more years, so be it. In the end, it will be worth it to give my princess the best launch into the world I can give her. A few days ago, I was in a minor accident, leaving me a little banged up. Thelma came over to cook for me and we talked for quite a while. We discussed where we are in our lives and so on. She is still a beautiful woman inside and out. I know people are quick to condemn cheaters, to brand them with scarlet letters and consider them beyond forgiveness. Granted, there are some terrible people out there who revel in infidelity. Thelma is not one of them. She is a good person who did something very, very selfish and stupid. She has paid for it. Both Lily and I have forgiven her. It is time to move on. I had a question about what happens if Thelma starts dating again. Well, so what? She is not my wife anymore. We are not in any sort of committed relationship. She is free to date or not as she desires. As far as me and Thelma getting back together, the answer is no. I will never marry again. Anyone for any reason. I am burned on the concept and will not bind myself to someone that way. I really do not think I want to be in a committed relationship either. No, I am not bitter. I am happy for the friends and family that I have in marriages and the like, but I cannot bring myself to get in that sort of situation again. At best, I may date casually or have a friends with benefits situation should the opportunity arise. Otherwise, I am solo. Hygor Bohm Hubner said, for a second there, I thought OP was indeed getting back together with his ex. I'm glad he didn't. I Like Your Basement said, I would rather paint my entire house with nail polish than let my cheating ex move in with me. Cinnamon0480 said, what? How is it that one person gets most of the marital assets and is still considered a good person? And what did she do with 75% of the savings? She has a job. Why can't she afford a cheap place? It's not even just that she was unfaithful. She got away with quite a bit in the divorce, even though she was the one who damaged the marriage. Maybe, as a movie dialogue says, your brain works, what doesn't work is your heart, because I don't understand anything. This last post was made in the Off My Chest subreddit by a user named Buttons McBoom. The post is titled, I just found out my wife cheated on me back in 2008 when we were dating. First things first, I have no plans to divorce my wife. I am not so much seeking advice as I am just trying to vent because this hurts like a motherfucker, and I am not sure to whom else I can turn to get this off my chest. An old friend of my wife, whom we have not seen in years, reached out to me last night and emailed me screenshots of some email exchanges they had at the time that detailed a fling my wife had with another man back while we were still dating long distance. She said she wanted to clear her conscience after all this time, but I was still skeptical at first. It took place in the 2 months leading up to me moving in with her. She definitely had sex with the guy at least once, and they went on several dates. I logged into her email at about 2 in the morning and verified that these emails were real, and I found some more emails she sent to another friend with more of her details and feelings. We have both grown a lot since then, and our marriage has been truly great. But reading some of the things she said back then just gutted me. She said she knew what she was doing was wrong, though she did not necessarily feel guilt. She said that she loved the way I made her feel when we were together, but she got really lonely when I left, and that she had made up her mind to basically live like she was single for the 3 weeks each month that I was not there. Hell, she even considered breaking up with me to pursue a relationship with the other guy. Like I said, we currently have a great marriage, and I have zero intention of pursuing a divorce. I am not even sure I'm going to confront her about it because it was so long ago. That said, this has really punched me in the gut, and I am not sure I have ever felt this kind of hurt. Thanks for listening to me and letting me vent, Reddit. Update. I got back home on Sunday after a weekend work meeting that was out of state. I asked her if we could talk, and I told her that I knew she had cheated on me. She held back tears as she confessed that she had indeed carried on a brief relationship with another man while we were dating, shortly before I moved states and we moved in together. I asked her if there were any other times, and she said no. I have faith in her when she says this because I gave no time frame and she corroborated what I had found. I then asked why she kept it from me for so long, and she said she knew how adamant I was that I would never forgive a cheater, and she knew it would destroy both me and our relationship. She then asked for my forgiveness if I could ever forgive her, and I told her that I already had. She cried even more when I told her that the last thing I want is a divorce because I still love her more than anything in the world, and I am not willing to throw everything we have away for something that happened 16 years ago. I said that while I love her, I am still very hurt because all of this is new for me and my trust in her is a little shaken for having kept this from me for so long. She understood and she offered to let me go through her direct messages, her email, and her text to prove nothing else had gone on. I declined because I have known all of her passwords and how to unlock her phone, and she has never jealously guarded her devices. We can also track one another's devices, and she has never been somewhere she should not be when I have checked. Finally, I asked why. She said she did not have a clear answer why, and she still was not totally sure, but she was going through a very self-destructive time in her life, and when this guy came pursuing her hard, it was one more terrible decision in a string of terrible life decisions she had made over the previous year. We embraced and cried, she apologized again, and I told her how much she meant to me. I told her it would take time for me to process all of this, and that I would be going through counseling, and that I want us to attend marriage counseling for at least a little while, but that I am still madly in love with her. Then she asked me how I found out, and I told her about how her old friend had reached out to me and dropped the news, which caused me to check her emails and corroborate this information. Apparently, they had a pretty serious falling out a while back after my wife had loaned the friend a good amount of money after the friend's husband had taken everything and left her high and dry. Yes, we both have discretionary accounts. No, I do not worry about what she does with her own money. Yes, I knew about the loan. Instead of using the money to get back on her feet, her friend had used it for really expensive, unnecessary things and a vacation with some other girlfriends. Needless to say, my wife was upset, she asked for her money back, and it led to a big fight. They have barely spoken since, and this will probably officially end their relationship, as my wife thinks this could be payback for cutting off her friend. I have my first session with a new therapist later this week. We have a session with a marriage counselor next week. I am hopeful that we will come through this ordeal just as strong as we were before. To those who offered me genuine advice, thank you. While I was not necessarily looking for advice when I first posted, there was some sage wisdom in some of your words, and it really helped me. Thank you again. A deleted user said OP does not realize it yet, but he is at the beginning of a very long road with an uncertain ending. Reconciling after infidelity is very, very difficult, and even with the cheater truly showing remorse and change, sometimes the betrayed partner just cannot get over it, despite doing the work. I have seen this with a friend. His wife cheated on him, he found out, and they spent 3 years in reconciliation. He tried his hardest to get over it, especially since they have a son, but he said that in the end, although he got over the hurt, he realized the whole thing just poisoned his love for her, and he could not live with someone he did not love anymore. She had the nerve to be angry at him for throwing away all her hard work to try and fix things as if she was not the reason they had to repair things in the first place. Honestly, he would have been better off separating when he found out. Not to say reconciliation cannot work, but the odds are not great. Jokester said, the hardest thing for OP to get over is the trust factor. She lied by omission for over 16 years. That would shake anyone's trust. Hopefully, she works hard to rebuild that trust. It will take time, but I think they can work through this. Sesquipedalomania said if she had told him about it 16 years ago, they could have chosen together to deal with it and move forward. Instead, she lied to him for 16 years, only telling the truth when she was forced to. She unilaterally took his choice away from him so she could get the outcome she wanted. That is an intrinsically unhealthy marriage, held together by deceit and manipulation. If she does not get individual counseling to address why she could so easily lie to her spouse for so long, then they are just sweeping things under the rug. Thank you so much for making it to the end of the video, and thank you also to partner of the channel, Gamersupps. Use code DLAM to support the channel and get 10% off of your purchase, link in the description. I'm sure many of you like me have a hankering for daily caffeine, so go check them out. Lately, I've been a big fan of Titty Milk and Acid Rain, but they've got dozens of other flavors for y'all to try out. Anyway, thanks again for reaching the end, and I hope you all have an amazing passage of the next 24 hours.